What up, what up, what up? How are you guys doing today?
What's up?
We
Hey.
are jumping on She's on Fire. Fire.
Yes.
Fire. So we're gonna do She's on Fire
It's
today.
fire on stereo.
Fire on stereo. So we're gonna talk She's on Fire today, and specifically Chanel and myself are gonna be talking to Krissy. What's up, Krissy? How you doing?
Hey. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. So this one is going to be what I'm really excited about is going to be a little different from our other She's on Fire series. Our She's on Fire series have historically been like 6-figure launch, 6-figure this, 6-figure that, right? And this one is really going to be about the whole concept of a restructure a little bit. What does a restructure look like? A rebrand sometimes, even in essence. And then how do you take that and make sure that your badassery isn't hidden from the world, right? So we want to really, really show off that you can make a pivot into your true zone of genius, right? And then, of course, not be the best kept secret, which is something I think a lot of people deal with. So let's do some intros. I'm going to actually introduce Chanel.
Okay.
No, I'm going to introduce Krissy.
All right.
Okay. Chanel introduce me.
Okay.
And Krissy introduce Chanel. How about that?
Okay. Boom. Okay.
All right. Okay. So let's see if I can crush this. All right. So when I met Krissy was doing these amazing summits. And actually, I think right when we met, you were really like getting ready to do one and even maybe get to the throes of like finishing it up. And just this absolutely brilliant person who, by the way, the summit game is not my strength. Never pretended that it is. I could bring people together in a mansion. I can get people to sleep over and everything. But if you're like, let's do it online, I'm like, no. And so when I met Krissy, I saw her doing these amazing summits and launches, challenges, masterclasses online, amazing branding, look, feel, the whole thing. And then she was like, I'm a little stuck. And so then we got to the point of unstuckness. And now what she does is specifically, she works with people who want to launch their authority. In other words, you're an expert, you're a total badass, and you want to take that badassery and you want to launch it doing a masterclass, a summit, a challenge, something amazing. And you've already tried it by winging it, by going, okay, so next week we're going to do this. And then nobody shows up and you got crickets and you did it for free.
Is that the voice that they're using?
That's the voice that they're using. It's going to be in 3 days. And in 3 days. And then nobody shows up. And then even worse, they had a whole bunch of people register. And like 5 people came there. 2 were their cousin. 1 was their mama. Right? And the other people,
your business bestie.
Right, your business bestie. And then that one person that came on was like, ain't nobody here. And then they left because they didn't even turn on their camera or use their real name. So Krissy, make sure that does not happen when you're doing a launch, because doing a launch is so critical. Because if you don't do it well, if you don't do a good launch, then it really does hurt you from a reputational standpoint. Where people go, oh, those people aren't going to come back. So that, to me, introducing Krissy. All right. Look, somebody said I was calling him out already. Right. All right. So that's me. Chanel, who are you introducing?
I'm introducing Donna Dash. I'm introducing Donna-firesavvy.net. What's up, Donna-firesavvy.net, otherwise known as Donna St. Louis. Donna and I met about 2 years-ish ago. We met online. She called me out. So whoever just said, why are you calling me out? She literally called me out. She made this post about being...
It's like a superpower.
It is a superpower, right? But Donna has this uncanny way of like really being able to like tap into somebody's expertise, tap into what they have going on in their world, but then pulling it out of you in the form of a social media message, right? So the social media message that drew me into her, she was talking about, you have the track record, you got the receipts, you have the expertise, you're a badass, but yet you still feeling like you are the best kept secret in your industry. And I was like, dang, who is this lady and why does she all up in my business? But it came at the perfect time. And so Donna is, her claim to fame, I think she uses this a lot, is, one, she is a badass. She is a revenue acceleration coach. She can tap into expertise and really turn it into money in a very accelerated, fast way. She did that in her own life, in her own businesses. She was homeless at 19, built and sold a $250 million tech business. But then not only is she doing it for herself, she's like, you know what? I don't want to be up here by myself. I want to bring other women along. And so that's what she's doing. Not just women, but coaches, experts, speakers who recognize that they have expertise that they just need to tap into in a new, in a fresh way. And she gives you the messaging and the sales support to be able to take that business, accelerate it, and then really just meet new cool access to people. So that is Donna-firesavvy.net, otherwise known as Donna St. Louis.
I'm going to officially change my last name now that I think about it. I'm like, this sounds.
Yes. And as Patrice said, she's so passionate making sure we all win. I can truly say from behind the scenes, because I get conversations that other people aren't privy to. But when I tell you, she is always looking at opportunities for her clients, that is no joke. So thanks for sharing that, Patrice.
So I'll introduce Miss Chanel Evans. So me and Chanel, we've known each other since 2020. We were actually in a group coaching program for close to a year together. That's how we met. We were in the done for you social media management game back then. And so I've watched Chanel's business pivot and grow and expand and like blow up, basically dominate social media, hence what you're so great at. And, one thing that I think has always been incredible to watch Chanel do is her ability to pivot and dominate everything that she does. So whether it is hosting a virtual summit, which I've had the luxury of being one of the speakers at her events and bringing her people along with her to each new thing, and hosting a social media domination mansion retreat over and over again, even in the middle of a storm, being able to handle something like that. And then now being the co-creator of the Fire Savvy group is incredible to watch her again pivot into this new focus, right? And so if I'd say what is Chanel so great at is the pivot and bringing people along the way. And obviously when it comes to social media, really being able to pinpoint what makes someone so unique and be able to post in their own unique way, I think has always been a kind of a key thing that you've always had, even back when I met you back in 2020. That is the Chanel Evans.
Awesome. And Krissy and I are actually going to meet face to face in like 2 weeks, of all places. For so many of you guys know, I have daughters that run track. And one of them is, she qualified for conference and she's running in Rhode Island in 2 weeks. And so I was like, I got to call Krissy, because what are the odds? What are the odds?
Anybody in Rhode Island?
2 years we've been rolling and rocking with each other virtually. What are the odds that I will be in Rhode Island in 2 weeks? So we're going to do coffee, something. We got to meet. We're definitely going to see each other.
There's so many fun things to do here in Rhode Island. I mean, this is the home of Viola Davis. If you guys listen to her new audio, it literally points out all the places I've been. Like my husband's first kiss is in the city that she grew up in. So we're all Viola Davis fans here, but nobody is in Rhode Island. No one ever comes to Rhode Island in my circle. So when she said that, I'm like, finally, somebody's coming up here. So I'm excited for that.
The thing is, the nice thing about going to Rhode Island is that no matter where you land in Rhode Island, you ain't far from visiting somebody. So you can't be like, oh, I'm too far to visit, because y'all all right there.
Yeah.
The whole thing.
We're tiny. If we have to drive anywhere beyond 15 minutes, it's too far. Too far.
It's probably not even in Rhode Island anymore. You have to drive.
Yeah, you can go from Connecticut, drive through Rhode Island to Massachusetts in an hour. So yeah, we're tiny.
Oh my God! Wow, look, Patrice talking about, come on and sell us Rhode Island.
It's beautiful up here.
Okay.
Look, I'll report back. I'll be the judge.
Yes, you're gonna have to report back. We're gonna need to know for real. All right. So I'm going to start us off. So this whole segment that we're going to talk about really, really is about that, that you're the best kept secret. Y'all know, listen, let's talk about that first. What, when I say you're the best kept secret, what do I really, really mean? So I'll start with me, and then I want y'all to talk about what that means to you. So here it is. I've built this business, $250 million, sold it, and decided, you know what, I'm going to turn this expertise into a coaching business and as a speaker, right? International speaker. Those are two things I'm going to do. And really was just like, why isn't my phone ringing?
Right.
Like, did they not see my resume? Like, I put that one post online on like Saturday afternoon, like when everybody was clearly watching. I know it got 30 views. I haven't had 29 phone calls yet. What in the hell is going on? Right. Like, right. So it's like, I put my resume out there. What am I doing wrong? And I actually know, I know a lady whose name is Kate, who went through the exact same thing. She has all these, awards from radio and all this other stuff. And she's just like, hey, I got all these awards. Why y'all ain't hiring me like crazy? Right. And I'm like, I sold a $250 million business. Why aren't y'all in my DMs? Why aren't y'all calling me? And so there is kind of this thing where I don't want to say it was ego, but it was like, I'm leading with all this expertise. And so here's the part right here. Because you know me, I got my shade detector, so you're gonna see all kind of shade. Okay. So I'm just shade is gonna be strong. Here's the thing.
We'll talk about that in another story.
But here's the thing. I'm sitting here going, I have an actual resume. I have actual receipts. And I know this mofo over here getting out of the jet is lying. Like, I know he lying. I know for a fact that he lying because he was literally sitting next to me at this other event talking about how broke he is. And I'm like, well, how you got out the jet, dude? He's like, oh, I illegally ran out there. I'm like, then how'd you get it right? So, and I'm like, so the Bentley is fake, the jet is fake, the house you was in front of is fake. The things that you say that you're doing for clients. And he was like, oh, I didn't say I was doing. I'm saying clients have had those success, not my clients. And yet still, he got people in his DMs. I'm like, you over here bullshitting people. I'm actually trying to help. Why am I? And that's what it means by being the best kept secret. Because what we see a lot is people who are the worst. There should be a secret. Like, nobody should know them. Right? I'm like, you are worse than out there on Front Street. And here I am busting it and can't find anyone. And so, so being the best kept secret to me really means I have the resume, I have the receipts. I actually do give a damn about my clients. I think about them 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I literally do have dreams about them, as Chanel, because I've called her in the morning. And I'm like, why can't anyone find me? And why can't, more importantly, I find the people that I know that I can actually make an impact on their business? So that's what it felt like for me.
Yeah, for me, it was very much, I knew that I had the receipts. I knew that I had, transformation. I had built organizations, departments, but organizations. I had built a multiple six-figure nonprofit. I had launched well over $3 billion in transportation assets. So I'm like, I know what I'm doing, and I'm posting on social media, and I'm consistent. I'm showing up. But what for me, what really clicked is my messaging was off, right? My messaging was off. It was, you're out here, you're consistent, you're showing up, you're posting on social. So you think you're doing all that you're supposed to be doing, but the messaging was not connected to the person who was my dream client. So once I really kind of fine-tuned, all right, here's what my expertise is, here's what my offer is, but here is who this is designed for and who I love to work with. When I got the messaging on point, it was like on fire. You walk with a different confidence, you show up in a different confidence, you're consistent with how you're showing up. And so for me, the best kept secret was, I'm out here. I'm out here. I got the billboard up.
Right.
Why y'all ain't calling my phone? Why aren't you, clicking that like button? And what, like, again, once I clicked, turned into the messaging genius and really tuned into what I was saying and how I was saying it, it just made all the difference.
Yep. How about you, Krissy?
I mean, in my situation, I think I just got to the point where I was just trying to fix everybody's problems in business. Like, and Donna knows what I'm talking about. Like, for me, I had kind of started a social media agency from nothing. Like, like, really honestly, like, from 5 to 6 years of like multi-level marketing experience really helped me start my social media management. But like, I completely was able to book out my agency within a year and replace my full-time income in 6 months. And I had my hands in so many different industries, products, service, like so many different service-based businesses that, when it came to consulting, I just had so much like experience with so many different industries that it was just like, well, I can help you with this, and 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 I can help this person. And for me, it was just like, I felt like I had to kind of take myself out of the box to be like known, but in reality, I actually needed to kind of put myself, I think, in a box because I was trying too hard to solve too many people's problems and without actually focusing on what I really wanted to focus on or what really was my specialties, because I was trying to be the all for everyone. Like when it came to fixing people's business strategy. So
Yep. And that takes me right into my next question. And we see this happen quite a bit. So the 3 reasons that people are usually the best kept secret starts with number 1. I'm going to say 3. Number 1, their expertise. So one of my favorite things to say is, and Krissy, somebody calling you out, and they're like, why are you telling my story? Right? So number 1 is that their expertise. I'm going to be all the things to all the people. My favorite thing to say is, how I know you ain't got no commas in your bank account? Because they all behind your expertise, right? If you want to have more commas in your bank account, take some out of your expertise. So I would say that was number 1, expertise. Number 2, I would say, is truly identifying that real dream client, right? Because we hear that all the time about, I could do this for everyone.
And you are, and you're tired, and you're stressed, and you're
tired. And you're not tired. You're tired. You're just tired. Right? And then number 3, I'm really going to go to, and I'm going to split number 3 into 2 things. It's messaging and offer, right? Because you can have the right offer, but the message doesn't work, it doesn't matter. You can have the great message, but if the offer doesn't work, it doesn't matter. Like, those 2 work so hand in hand that if either one of them are off, it's off. So I'll say for me, for sure, when I really looked at mine, like, I knew specifically what my expertise was because I was working with a very specific methodology. I knew which parts of the methodology I wasn't going to use. The methodology is now 28 years old. It's the source of launching, a $250 million business and tons of multi-million-dollar businesses under there. So I knew my expertise. My ideal client, I would say, has definitely morphed and I'm not going to say pivoted, but it has definitely morphed as time has gone on. But my offers have pretty much been significantly the same. So for me, it was really that ideal client, like really laying down and going, this is the client I'm going to work with. And just this client, and constantly niching in on that client really is what helped me own my particular lane. So, as somebody who's done this, even, I can tell you right now, you can't see yourself from inside the jar. So I really had to have somebody on the outside. Partnering with Chanel has been amazing because then it's funny because Chanel's problems are my problems. So when Chanel has a problem, I can go, well, why don't you do that? And then she's like, well, we will. And I'm like, okay, then. Right? So it's like coaching myself through Chanel. But mine was definitely, I would say, really, really laying down that dream client and communicating directly to them all the time.
I love that you talked about the relationship between the client and the offer, because sometimes we really do have in mind who we want to work with, but then we put together an offer that quite honestly is what we want, right? We put the
Yeah,
offer
we do.
together based on what we want, based on what they think that we should be doing, based on what we think that our client wants. And then that caused some friction and frustration, because you're like, I know this is my person. I know I can help that person. And you're out here being the best kept secret, posting and sharing. And you're like, why they ain't buying my stuff? Because it's the wrong offer. It's not designed for them.
Yep, and because it's the wrong offer, it's the wrong message. And here's my favorite thing: Cindy's calling you out. Yes, Chanel will see your comma, your big viral promise, and your offer, and she'd be like, "That's just way too comma-y." We didn't even know that was a word, but she has her own language. And yes, it is way too comma-y. Okay, so go ahead, Krissy. How about you? Which one did you think was yours?
Well, I was gonna say, like, when you said like you can't really see yourself from inside the glass, is that was the biggest thing for me, is that I think in my situation, when you're so good at something, sometimes you don't recognize your greatness on your own. It takes other people to tell you how great you are at something, because it seems simple. Like, it seems really, really simple. Like, so like in my situation, like when it came to like launch strategy, I felt like it was easy to come up with a theme and to put together the strategy.
You probably were like, everybody could do this.
Yeah, or like, oh, well, I don't feel like that's what people really need. I feel like, these other areas, because that's what I needed and that's what some other clients needed. But I wasn't recognized what I was truly uniquely great at until other people were telling me, but I wasn't listening. That's the thing. Because people will tell you, oh my gosh, you're so good at this, and you kind of brush it off, or you're just like, oh, thanks. You take it as a compliment, but it's actually kind of a like a signal that's really what you should be focusing on.
And it's a signal that we want more of it.
Yeah,
want more. They like, we love seeing that. We want more of it.
Yeah, when I sat down and worked with Krissy, and I said, okay, we're going to actually do a zone of genius exercise. I'm like, because she, it's the burden of brilliance that we talk about, right? I know how to do all of these things, and I do them exceedingly well. And so Krissy was like, I could do this, I could do this, I could do this, I could do that. And she had like this list. And I'm like, of course you can, because you're brilliant.
Right.
So yes. Then when we sat down and we worked through it, I said, can I just tell you what you do, or do you want to do the whole thing? Right? And then when I told her, she was like, wait, I could just do that. And I'm like, yeah, you can. And what I loved about working with you, Krissy, is that you were just like, so like, but I could do that like it's the back of my hand. And I'm like, as you should be able to. Like, it actually shouldn't be hard, right? The hard part comes when you're working with a client who actually won't listen, won't implement, has all the won'ts, right? But even when you get a client that is doing something absolutely different that's outside of your methodology, it doesn't make you tired. It energizes you, like, oh my God, we got some new juice to work on. And that's what I saw from you when I started asking Krissy questions specifically around different types of launches. I'm like, well, what if they this? And what if that? And her face would just light up. And I'm like, babe, you're working outside your zone of genius. This right here is what you should be doing. And just so you'll know, I legitimately like got on the phone with Chanel and Patrice, and I'm like, y'all, I'm so proud of Krissy. I say it all the time.
Right.
All the time. I'm like, she knows the assignment. She gets the assignment. She's following the assignment. She's doing the assignment. And so, yeah, it's really, really cool to see you do that. And it's beautiful. I can't wait to just be like, y'all should see her now. Right.
The fun thing that I love watching it, Krissy, is like, it's effortless. Like it doesn't come across, sometimes you see stuff and you feel bad for the person. You're like, they really should.
They are trying to get the words out.
Like they're trying too hard. They're doing too much. But like when you have launched, because it was your summer launch. I don't remember what it was called, but I think it was the Raise Your Authority launch when you launched that brand. And I was like, oh, Krissy doing the damn thing. Like, it's so slick, it's glossy. And I was a part of it. And I was like, this makes me want to be a part of it as a participant, as a speaker. So when you really put your magic to work, like it just really, really shows. The themes that you put together, the speakers that you pull, the graphics, all of it is just top notch.
Yeah, and what I love now is that you're getting ready to do launch your authority, which is to help other people be able to duplicate what again you do. That is, like she said to me, she's like, oh yeah, like we were talking, and then she goes, oh yeah, and like sponsors and like this, and I'm like that, and I'm like, oh, look at you saying all the words I don't know. Right? She was just like, what? I was like, honey, this is your zone of genius. So for you, these words are effortless and they just slide off your tongue. And she's like, and how you could get sponsors to do this, and how you could put these packages together, and how you sell tickets. And I was like, yeah, you should write that down and teach others.
Well, somebody had wrote in the comments, I saw it was like the what is it called? The caches in the niches or something like that.
Oh, the riches is in the niches.
Yep. That's what it was. And what's funny is that concept actually kept me stuck. That specific concept was because when you think of niching down, I think a lot of people think of like industries, like ideal client has to
ideal
be
client.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Age
that's
35 to 45, and she lives in the suburbs.
Right. Oh my God. She has curly hair and hazel eyes, but she's also very shady.
Yeah,
like
exactly. So like that's not specific. That right there was what I think kind of stopped me from. So that actual idea is actually not what I want you guys to think about, because I feel like that part I feel like can kind of limit you. For me, it made me feel like I had to offer so many different things to my clients in order for me to feel like my offer was valuable, or that I had to fix all of these things before I could actually do what I want to do. Because as a social media manager, that's what I was used to. I'd have people come to me, and because their businesses weren't set up properly before they were even ready for a social media manager, like I'd have to fix. A lot of Chanel understands how this goes. Sometimes you have to fix things before you can do your job. And I was so accustomed to that I felt like it was normal, and so it's not just about niching down to the specific ideal industry. It is niching down to your excellent, your what you're really, really great at, and what you actually want to help people with. Because you don't have to do you don't have to, and we had this conversation, is you don't have to fix all the things before they come to you. They're not your ideal client. And that was kind of like a mind blown moment for me, that I don't have to do all those things.
But you know what? I love that you said that, because that's something that I run into. By the way, Cynthia McFarland wants to have a whole conversation with you in regards to launching your authority. So yeah, I know Launch Your Authority is what you're working on right now. And what was so brilliant was when we talked about it, and she goes, but I don't want to help them figure out their messaging and who their ideal client is, and all their marketing and all their social media. Like, I want to start with them on their theme, and I want them to work. And I'm like, and that's all you should be working on. If they're coming to you with all that other stuff, they're not your ideal client. What you really want to do is start partnering with people. Because honestly, once you, and Chanel and I have already talked about this, like once you have Launch Your Authority ready, we're sitting here going, as soon as she finished, we're making it a part of the package. Like as soon as she's done, like we're like, are you done yet? Like we have selfish reasons for telling you to hurry the hell up, because we recognize it's something that all of our clients need. But notice how we're saying, hey, Krissy, stay tight within this niche, and we're going to bring people to you who go, here's my expertise, here's my ideal client, here's the offers I'm currently working with. Because something that we talked about was, hey, there's a difference between an offer and a launch offer.
Right.
And Krissy was like,
right.
And she was like, of course there is. And I'm like, so let's call it a launch offer, right? Like, let's put the language around that. And then once we started putting it all together, and I'm like, and so for us, when we see that kind of value, we're like, no, you don't have to do this all over the place. You can do it just in the area that you are excited about, which I love that. And I can't wait for you to get your stuff together so you can be a partner of the Fire Savvy family, because we're looking forward to that. So we have a question here from Dr. Rosa, which I saw. Here it is. Okay. So the question is, was it difficult to acknowledge that you had to scale back and focus to achieve that bank account breakthrough? Chanel?
So I can start. So yes, it was difficult. I won't lie. And most people that know me know that I'm going to keep it all the way 100 with you, right? People out here give you all the glossy stuff, but they don't tell you like the behind the scenes, like the for real. So about a year probably about a year ago, we probably can look at the calendar, the text message chain, and I was in, a heavy done for you space, but I was also leaning into my new excellence of hosting retreats and hosting, more consulting things. And I was like, I am super burnt out with what I'm currently doing in my agency. And I text Donna and I was like, I'm about to burn this whole business down. And she's like, time out. What's going on? What do we need to do to fix it? And it was that I was working outside of my zone. Like I was working outside of what my clients knew me well for. Like Krissy said earlier, like people came to her and you're getting those signs, but you're ignoring the signs because you're so caught up in the work part, right? Of it.
Yeah.
So I basically needed to take a step back. I had to scale back some of the agency stuff, wean out some things that weren't really lighting me up. And your bank account does take a hit. It's not that it takes a hit forever, but it does take a hit as you're moving and as you're pivoting and as you're trying to transition and deciding what part of your team do you keep, what part do you strip away. It can be difficult, and it can mess with your mindset too, because you're like, I know I'm genius, I know that I'm great if I just got in front of the right audience. But then once you get out of that transition period, one, do not do it by yourself. Don't try and transition. Don't try and go through this breakthrough by yourself. You got to have a really strong guide to move you through and can see things outside of what you can see for yourself. But once you get out of that, 60, 90-day period, it's gone. It's acceleration right from there. So it is difficult, but it's one of those things, which is harder. You want to be hard and stuck, or you want to be hard and getting through it, right? So I prefer to be hard and getting through. So that's where the difficulty comes in at. But yes, when you really take a step back, scale, focus, it makes it so much more difficult. But do not do it alone.
Absolutely. How about you, Krissy?
Yeah, I went through a similar experience to Chanel, where like I eventually closed the doors to my agents, like my done for you agent, part of the agency. And it can be a little hard to let go, especially if you are doing well financially. Like we had clients, and like, you become loyal. Sometimes you become loyal, especially for the clients who are loyal to you. I had clients who were rocking with me for like 2 years, and it's like, it's hard to let go of the money because you need it. Right. And it is hard to let go, but it's like, sometimes you get to this max point where if I keep going like this, I'm going to go backwards regardless, because I'm going to get sick. Because that happened to me a couple times. I got so burnt out that like I couldn't fully show up, and then I started to lose money. So like choosing to slowly kind of let go of those clients was actually the best thing I could have ever done, because a lot of those clients became my first consulting clients, and I was able to transition them, and because I had built that loyalty between them, they trusted me to say, me doing this for you no longer serves you. I feel like this is the area where I can truly serve you. So I was able to pivot a lot of those clients over to my first consulting clients, which did benefit me. And it does, especially when you're a business, at least for a couple of years, like my business launched in 2020, to go wow and then to go backwards, it can feel like you're failing as a business owner, because you always think that as you scale, as you grow, that it's always up, and people don't talk about the months that were much lower.
Right.
And how yeah, like how it's not always going to look like this. I've never seen a business like I've never seen, if you look at like those old retail like charts or whatever, you always see this. You never just see this. You know what I mean? And I don't know why we have this random thought in our minds that it's always going to look like this. And so that's not normal. So I had to kind of get out of that mindset that I have to kind of take a step back and maybe a little bit lose financially a little bit in order to make more and open space to be able to try something new. So,
and I think sometimes it's extremely hard, especially when, so I'm really clear on, you have coaches for, a reason, a season, or a lifetime, honestly. Right. Based on where I am in my business and based on who I coach, I'm generally more of the lifetime coach. Right. But there are coaches that you have for a reason, like a coach who's just going to work on you with your marketing and just that, and that's all they're going to do. A coach who's going to help you just get to 6 figures and just going to help you get to that point, right? What we really have to understand is that there are breakthrough ceilings, and you need a coach who's gone through that breakthrough ceiling and that can recognize what it's going to take for you to go through that breakthrough ceiling, because we all have them. What it takes for you to get to $250,000 is not what it's going to take for you to get to 2.5 million.
Mhm.
And it's so funny because Chanel and I talked about this when we're even doing Fire Savvy and the Unmastermind, right? We recognize, like, we did a $500,000 launch.
Mhm.
But what we did at $500,000 will not be happening at 2.5 by the end of the
Right.
year. It's just not going to look the same at all. But, you know, because we work so well together, and this is one of the cool things about having amazing partners, and this is why I like having people like, you know, Krissy, Deanna, that come in under the Fire Savvy umbrella that we can actually send clients to, is because as they grow, they now have a coach that's going to say, oh, you're about to hit a growth point, a breakthrough ceiling. Let's talk about how you're going to need to pivot. A lot of times where I see people get the most burnt out is they're doing a done for you business, and pivoting a done for you business is one of the hardest things you could do. That's the first one. And then the other one that is super, super ridiculously hard is when you choose to grow and scale at the same time.
Mhm.
I'm going to tell you right now, like Chanel and I, Fire Savvy is growing and scaling at the same time. Yes, right, exactly. Like, for real, we do not recommend that, and we definitely do not recommend it doing by yourself. I'm just telling you.
Look, wait a minute.
Yes, I'll tell you right now. Do not. So I tell people all the time, like, do not. You know, it's funny because somebody told me the other day, they're like, you and Chanel are like the chief operations officers of our business. Like, you're not letting me gonna go like crazy. And we tell people, like, do not scale and grow, because those are the two things that you can do that will totally hose up your business.
I think I told somebody the other day, I said, do as I say, not as I do.
Not do as I do. Not this time. I'm telling you. Because people say, well, you guys do it. I'm like, no. I built a $250 million business. If I had not, I would not be doing this strategy. I'd be like, girl, we got to slow this shit down. like, trust me on that. Trust me on that. I mean, seriously. Okay. So there's a question for you specifically, Krissy. And I know we were just working on this. And the question is, I hope it's not a gotcha question. If it is, I'm gonna come in and save you. What is the difference?
Save you too, because that's what Fire Fam do.
Yeah, right. That's when we come in, like, y'all not gonna come out here trying to, you know. What's the difference between your regular offer and your launch offer? And we did talk about this, so I know she knows the answer, but
yeah. So I mean, I feel like if you really think about it, the answer is kind of in the question, because I mean, you're not always going to have to be launching something. You don't always have to be launching something. Some people launch every other month. Some people launch every quarter. Some people launch once a year, right? So there is everybody's business is a little bit different. Launching is more so you're introducing your audience to either join something, you're trying to pivot them to go somewhere else. Or you're just reopening something that maybe wasn't available before, right? So a regular offer is usually something that they would always have access to, or maybe it's private access, like behind the scenes, right? That you're not necessarily having to reintroduce to your audience. Also, it's sometimes with the launch offer, it's really about something that you want everyone to kind of like, I think, be reintroduced to or introduced to at the time,
and sometimes even transition to, like, you could have current clients that are in this one offer that's an old offer. Like, let's say, for example, they're in some type of group program, right? And that group program now only has 2 people, and you're going to do this launch offer where you can transition these people that there's only 2 people in that offer into this launch offer for some kind of discount. Right. So I agree with you. Like, that whole concept of a launch offer is, I'm launching, so I'm offering some extra incentives and sexiness that, quite honestly, if you don't get in right now, won't be here later. Right. It's a way to create a groundswell. Usually what you do in your launch offer, you don't do forever and ever. So that's why when somebody say they launching something, I'm like, let me go see, because they're going to be getting rid of some things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think one way to think about it too is a lot of people will say, well, I want to launch this, but it's an offer that they've already been selling, and there's no difference in the offer, or there was no like thought of like, this is no longer available, right? So some people, it's more so like just reselling it. I think that you can mention different offers and have different available offers at once, but when you're trying to launch something, there's more of a sequence. Like, you're warming up your audience. There's like usually like perks during the offer. Like if you think about a rocket ship, it's like a takeoff, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And you do the countdown. So there's different steps, you know, before you get to it. And it doesn't have to just be a paid offer. It can be events. It can be like, it can be a master class. Like you could be launching a product or a digital product. Like it's just no one specific offer. I don't know if that answered your question, but hopefully it did.
No, I think it's a good answer. And sometimes you could be doing a launch offer to lead people into a deeper offer.
Right.
Right. So you could say, Krissy could literally go, listen, I'm going to help you guys do a proper launch on this masterclass so that you can upsell them into another offer. And so just understanding that a launch offer might have perks and benefits in it that a regular offer may not have as well. A launch offer might also be morphing people out of an old offer that you don't want to service anymore because your business has shifted into something else. And by the way, I want to point this out to you, Krissy. This comment is specifically for you. You when you talk about this, like you really do. You're like, no.
Passionate.
Right.
You are. But that's what it's like when you're working in your zone of genius. And what's so frustrating is when you're working in your zone of genius and you're the best kept secret, that's where frustration really happens, because you're like, what do I need to do to make this different? So I think that's where we're gonna actually end off with. We're gonna end up just giving you 3 little tips in regards to how it is that you can how do you recognize, number one, what are you doing wrong to be in this best kept secret area, number one. And then number 2, maybe we can give out a couple of tips that they can do to get out of that area. So I'll start off with the first one. The first one is, and Krissy kind of said this about niches. Normally people make the mistake of niching down to an audience before they niche down their expertise. So then they'll say, well, I work with surgeons and I help them with their website, their social media, cleaning the scalpels, when they're trying to get rid of bunions, back massages. Like, okay, we get you're serving that community, but you're doing too many things, right? And so now I don't know what you're an expert in. I don't know if you're an expert in, massages, bunion removal, or cleaning surgical steel, or putting on social media. You're just doing too many things and you're not working within your zone of genius. So I'd say the first thing that will impact you in regards to being a best kept secret is you're not tapping into your zone of genius, which, by the way, impacts your messaging.
Yep.
How about you, Chanel? What you got?
So I'm gonna add on to the messaging part. I think a lot of times we launch offers based on what we want, what we think that our clients want, but we haven't asked them. And so during the launch phase, and I know Krissy can certainly appreciate this, but during the launch phase, engage your timeline. Like, pay attention to what they're asking you for. Pay attention to what words they're using to describe their problems. Ask them. If you ask your timeline, they will tell you. They'll be honest with you. Engage them. And then that helps you create messaging around a really cool offer, so that you are not feeling like you have the expertise, you got the receipts, but now you're still the best kept secret because you're posting, but it's not connected with your audience.
And can we talk about that just a little bit more when you say ask them? Because, okay, so usually when I say something like ask them, then people will go to Chanel and be like, what does she mean by ask them?
Right.
And so now I'm going to be everybody else. When you say ask them, specifically, give me an example of how.
Yes. Okay.
And I never tell you to do the how. How would they ask them?
So let's say that I am going to be hosting next Thursday, the 23rd, a Best Kept Secret Masterclass. And we're going to be giving you a sales cheat code on how to create conversations that turn into conversions. So maybe about 4 weeks before I launch it, because I'm like, you know what? I want to make sure that the messaging is right. I want to make sure that I answer the right questions. I want to make sure that what I put out is actually what my timeline wants. I will create on social media a prompt that says, hey, I'm thinking of hosting a masterclass. What questions do y'all want to know about creating sales conversations? You get a list of comments. Those comments are going to give you the words that your audience uses. They're going to be questions that you want to, answer. And there are a bunch of people that are now interested in your topic that when you launch the masterclass or summit or whatever it is you're offering, but in my case, a masterclass, now I have an audience that says, hey, you said that you were interested in learning more about sales conversations. By the way, I'm hosting a masterclass next week. Would you like the link?
Right. So she literally does mean post
Yes.
a question on social media to your social media audience.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes people think social media is like the big ugly ogre, and we're afraid to ask them, but it's just made up of people, right? It's just conversations with people.
But I think that's because so many people are trying to show up and be the all knowing everything rather than be like, nah, I got this question for real. Right.
True.
All right. How about you, Krissy? What is like that one thing that you think, okay, and you talked about yours a little bit, but go ahead.
Well, I was gonna kind of feed off of what both of you guys were saying on, like, first off, when it comes to deciding on, like, taking yourself out of the picture sometimes in the decision making when it comes to serving your clients. Because I just did a live, I think it was yesterday, and I was talking about, should your offer be like a one-on-one access? Should it be a group program? Should it be a hybrid? Mm-hmm. And when deciding, a lot of people start thinking about their own personal experiences with programs that they've been in, and they start thinking about what they want and what, you know, and that's, I think, the issue sometimes is, like, we're not asking our audience enough about what they actually desire, or creating something that they actually need, right? Is that they may think that they want one-on-one, but educating them on why a group program may actually be a better fit for them, right? So really understanding what your client wants, and also understanding what they need, because a lot of times you hear this concept, sell them what they want, give them what they need. And this is something that I had to kind of learn when you're dialing down your expertise, is that for me, it was really hard, I think, for people to refer me sometimes, because I was like an expert in so many different things that it was like my mom, even though they knew what I did, like, you know, we know Deanna Jones, like she's like really, really good at saying, oh, I got you a person for this, right? Well, how am I going to come at the front of her brain if I'm not, like, if there's not this one thing that she really thinks about me? She's not going to be able to refer me as quickly, even without intention, because she has no idea what the heck I specifically specialize in. So she's going to question, well, Krissy might be able to help her with this, but I'm not 100% sure. Someone comes to her and it's like, I want to launch this, but, like, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. Then my name might come to the front of her brain, even though I can most likely help them in some other areas that may come along the way. But this is my level of expertise that I'm dialing down on. So I'm going to sell them what they want, right? And then there may be some other things that I help them with that they actually need, right? Absolutely. So, like, you know, that's something to kind of consider.
Love it.
Yep. Okay, so let's do last part. Let's do like 3 really, really, really quick tips. So I want you to think about this. I want you to try to put your tip in just a line or two. Okay. Quick line or two. And I want you to really be thinking about messaging, because this is where people totally screw up their being the best kept secret. So I understand that you are everyone on the planet is brilliant and you have so much to share. I get it. But what I really want you to do is identify the one thing that seems so super ridiculously stupid easy to you. Whatever that is, identify that, and then make that your one expertise, and then make your messaging around that just that. Now so in other words, take the commas out of your expertise so they'll be in your bank account. Pick one. I'm going to back this up by saying, I'm saying this as a person who eats her own dog food. I am a PMP. I'm a 6 Sigma Master Black Belt. I know how to do vision boards with voodoo dolls. Like, I know all that stuff, right? However, I'm not offering those services. I'm not going to come in and streamline your business and your systems. I'm not going to make it more efficient for you to do your work. I'm damn sure not going to manage your project, and I'm not writing any of your copy, no matter how good I am. In fact, if you ask anyone, they're like, is Donna good at marketing? I would go, absolutely not. Can't even spell it. Right? Chanel would be like, and that's a damn law. Right? But I'm like, but I don't do that because that is not my true zone of genius. So if you want to really, really stop being the best kept secret, instead of being known for everything, be known for that something like nobody's business. Take the commas out of your expertise so you can have them in your bank account.
Word up.
Vision board with voodoo dolls. That will be my next masterclass coming up. Go ahead. Go ahead, Krissy. What do you got?
Well, I was gonna say, like, the first thing that comes to mind is I think that, like, when I was avoiding doing that, I thought I was gonna lose money because I was so afraid to, like, oh well, if I dial it down so much, then I'm going to be missing out. But in reality, I feel like I was losing out before, right? And the more that I've focused and now that I've really dialed into my expertise, it has been so easy to, like, create content. Like, it just flies. I started this 365 live challenge, some of you guys know, where I'm going live for the next year. I don't know what the hell I just committed to, but I committed to it, right? And
I was like, that's a boss. That's a boss move,
right there.
Listen, when I'm typing in hashtag day 265, everybody's going to be wanting to do it. Okay. But, by doing this, it's been so easy to come up with topics because I'm only focusing on the topics that I really, really want to talk about in the specific area. And so without feeling like I have to fill the gaps in so many different places. So I feel like the more dialed in you are, even creating content is so much easier, like so much easier. So I just want to share that.
I love that. And we sat down together and we helped her create. By the way, Cindy was like, you stressing me out with 365. But when you sat down and you created your methodology, like we sat down and looked at her methodology, and I know you're still in the throes of it. That was one of the things we talked about because she's like, Donna, I know you said my finances in my framework and my money is on my methodology. How do I turn into some posts? And I'm like, let me show you all the posts. And she's like, they're all right here.
Right? Well, you know what? And it's funny because I think sometimes when we think of a framework, it's like, it's almost like this 5-step process. So the way you've broken it down has made so much more sense. Like, honestly, the way I viewed framework and methodology was very, very different than the way we're actually currently building it out. And it's really nice because it actually helps me, like, for those of you guys who haven't ever done this with Donna, it actually helps me determine who exactly isn't the right fit immediately. And not only are they not the right fit, but who do I need to send them to first before they're the right fit? Because sometimes you have like that client that's like in limbo phase, like potential client where it's like, oh, like they're so close. They're like, I would like to work with you, but like you are just missing this one thing. Let me send you to Chanel first, let her fix it, and then come back to me. Right. Yeah. And it feels good to know that I can do that like effortlessly. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was so cool actually when we were doing that because she got to this one part and I go, okay. And it was a trick question. I'm like, so what if they don't have that? And she goes, and she literally was like, oh my God, then I'm going to have to. I'm like, no, see how you threw your head back and you did the whole moan and you're like, oh my God, no, not qualified. Right. Who are we sending them to? And she's like, I could do that. I'm like, absolutely. They can go away. Right? So it was just like even like physically, like her whole body, head went back. She grunted. She's like, oh my God. I'm like, that is a sign that you're already in your zone of genius. We will let them go. And then I said, who do you know that does this? And she talked, I'm like, that's who we send them to. I'm like, who do you know that does this, that you trust, that's a badass, that's going to help them work, that's going to get it done, that's not going to try to step in your lane, that's going to send it back to you. And she's like, I could do that. I could send them away and have them come back. And I'm like, in Fires App, you definitely better. Right. So I absolutely love that. All right. How about you, Chanel? What you got?
I think the biggest tip I have is in your transition, when either you're restructuring, you're pivoting, you're packaging yourself, still show up consistently. There's nothing worse than just falling off the face of the earth. And you're like, where is so-and-so at? And she's like, oh, girl, I've been going through, I'm changing. No, keep us updated. People love to see that journey. They love to see that transition. And you'll learn a lot about yourself in your timeline during that transition piece. So stay consistent even during that transition, but also take fast action. So don't stay stuck too long. don't stay, in the pivot too long and use that as an excuse. Pivot, do whatever you got to do and take fast action.
Yeah, I love this. So yeah, two things. Somebody wrote, ooh, falling off. Thank you for that. And then off. Yes, and then guilty, but thank you. Listen.
You know, I was gonna say, like, I feel like when you own your expertise too, like it's actually a little bit easier just to dive into it when you pivot. Like, because like I feel like it almost like boosts your confidence because you're like, it's not like you're trying to transition, like when you get a new job and you're trying to transition to this new what do you call it?
Business or company culture.
Yeah, exactly. Like you're trying to like this new position, like you get promoted and now you're trying to transition into this new promotion. It's something you're learning. You're still learning that skill set. If it's already something that you're really, really good at, you kind of skip that phase. It's just a matter of like, and you've probably already been doing it. You've just been doing a bunch of other things. So it's not a matter of like, you don't always have to announce to the world that you're doing this new thing. You can slowly sneak it, like, but you really can. Honestly, I say if you want it, go for it, jump into it. And I don't really think you're going to confuse your audience in the way that you think you are because you're only pivoting into this one area of focus. You're not pivoting into I'm going to sell t-shirts and I'm going to sell foot cream and I'm going to sell this. Like that is what's confusing is when you're trying to throw so many different things that you're doing. That's more confusing than just hyper focusing on something.
Exactly. Well, anyway, I'm going to close with that. That was absolutely amazing. Listen, first of all, you need to reach out to Cynthia McFarland and she needs to reach out to you. And I think I'm connected to both of you. So I'll make that happen. She wants to talk to you about Launch Your Authority because that's how we roll in Fire Savvy.
Awesome.
And then for everyone else, we are having the Fire Savvy Masterclass on this very topic, how to stop being the best kept secret. And we're going to go in there and show you, listen, we're going to look through social media feeds and we're going to tell you exactly why you're the best kept secret. We're going to ask you about working in your zone of genius, ensuring that you are actually, just because you're making money, by the way, does not mean you're working in your zone of genius.
Right.
Making sure that you are actually working in your zone of genius so your shoulders aren't all tight and you're all stressed up all the time, can't sleep at night because you're mad and tired. And really want to help you understand what it takes to work in your zone of genius, how to stop being the best kept secret so that you can be in demand and have a steady stream of clients. If you want to learn more, all you got to do is go to firesavvymasterclass.net. And if you're like, "Ooh, is it free?" It is not. It's $47. It's $47. It's going to be on Thursday at 6:15 Eastern. That's next week, Thursday. Anyway, ladies, thank you so very, very much. I really appreciate you guys being on. Krissy, you are a badass. And of course, Chanel, you know I love you, girl.
Yeah. A week and a half.
All right. Talk to y'all later. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye.